My name's Adele Onyango and welcome to another episode of Legally Clueless. No, seriously, I have no clue what I'm doing, but I'm pretty sure I'm not the only one. Hey you, welcome to episode 293 of Legally Clueless. Thank you so much for rocking with the podcast. Old school members of the fam, I have nothing but love for you. If you're new here, welcome. Audio episodes of this show go out every Monday. On Wednesdays, we have another podcast show called Midweek Teas. And on Fridays, we have another podcast show called Ask a Therapist. All of these shows are right here on the Legally Clueless channel. So on whatever platform you're listening to this on, make sure you subscribe. All right, back to this episode. This is what's coming up.
But also just the fact that you get children, also children take a toll on you because your body changes, right? Your physical changes, your hormones change. Your brain changes. The chemicals in your brain are just all over the place. Again, something you're not told when you're getting into it. And you have to go through it to understand it. You've heard of postpartum depression, right?
That will be part 2 of Njoki's story. So if you haven't listened to part 1, please listen to episode 292 so that the second part makes sense. But that's coming up a little later in this episode. I forgot to tell you something else. Make sure you follow us on YouTube. We have tons of shows going out almost daily over there. There's a link to our YouTube channel in the show notes. And make sure you sign up to officially join the family on our website. That's Legally Clueless Africa. Some of the most exciting things that are happening on our YouTube channel is our East Africa tour. Oh my goodness. I still can't believe that we're going across Ethiopia, Uganda, and Rwanda. And you get to join us on this wonderful, wonderful journey. Every week, there's a new episode from a new town in East Africa. This week, we are in Addis and also Adama, both of which are in Ethiopia. During the tour, I not only got to meet incredibly inspiring Africans, but I also got to squeeze in some shopping, which is always welcome, right? And I feel like when you're in Ethiopia, it's almost criminal not to buy some leather products. The more I get to explore Ethiopia and discover her rich culture and history, the more it quickly becomes a very special place for me. But another great thing about being back in Addis Ababa is that I get to indulge in one of my favorite pastimes, shopping. So Ethiopia is known for many things, one of which is they have the best leather products in the region. So I can't come all this way and not get a replacement for this bag that I got in 2019 from this leather market. So let's go and see what new things they have now. Okay, Adele, let's have a serious conversation.
It's leather luggage.
Yeah?
It's backpack.
Oh, yeah. No, I think I'll take these two. Let me not look there. Please. This 2,500 for both. Okay, I'll take both. Okay, I'm done. Like I need to get out of here because I'll give you all my money now. Okay, I'm very happy. I needed a new purse and I got one in the color I wanted. A new laptop bag and I got one from Nice Leather. So if you're ever in Addis, you have to get leather products from Nice Leather. It's real leather, it's done in the store. There's leather jackets. If you want one custom made, you can actually come, they take your measurements, and in a few days you come and pick yours up. But I'm really happy. She gave me a discount, which hasn't happened in Addis yet. So I went to the exact shop I went to in 2019 to buy a leather bag that is my everyday handbag since 2019 to date, and it's still in good shape. So if you watch this particular episode of our East Africa tour, which is this week's episode, you will see the exact shop. And yes, as you heard, I got a discount. And okay, so I went into the shop looking for only a purse because I didn't have a purse. Well, the purse I had was like dodgy. So I wanted a new purse. I ended up getting a laptop bag as well. Listen, I actually don't think this particular shopping experience was irresponsible because look, the handbag that I bought from that same shop in 2019, I have used every day since. So I'm going to be having this purse and laptop bag for years. So it's like, it makes sense, right? That's not the only thing we did in the episode, though. We also got to meet Rahel in Adama, and she is an inspiring young Ethiopian woman who is well en route to take on NASA. So click the link in our show notes to watch the episode. Another thing that's going on our YouTube channel that I'm super excited about, in fact, the entire team working on this have been just inspired by all the Kenyan women we have met while filming this. So we teamed up with She Walks, which is an initiative from Johnny Walker, and it's celebrating women who have made bold choices that are impacting communities. And so at Legally Clueless, what we've decided to do is to tell these stories of these Kenyan women and walk a mile in their shoes. Well, maybe not a mile, but a full day. And so the first episode saw us go to Muranga with Angela, who is one of the co-founders of Heels for Pads. It is an organization looking to end period poverty. And they have come up with the most interesting thing. It's a pad ATM, sanitary pad ATM. And it dispenses free pads in the schools it's, installed in. And what's really awesome is like each young girl gets this card that they use to tap on the ATM to get the sanitary pads. And the card is called the confidence card. Let me tell you, it was amazing. That's episode 1. Episode 2, we got to hang out with Njoki, who runs Usikimye. This organization, in just its first year of 2020, rescued over 4,000 Kenyans from sexual violence or gender-based violence cases. And they continue to be doing incredible work. In fact, the day we got to hang out with them, they had just brought back their toll-free line, which allows survivors to call Usikimye and get various support. So be it psychosocial support, be it you need to be rescued, be it you need to go to hospital, you need to see the cops. They do all of that work. And they also run 3 safe houses in Nairobi. One of these safe houses is dedicated to male survivors of sexual violence. Awesome, right? And now we're down to episode 3 that just went live that I think you should definitely go and watch. And it features Bina Maseno. When she was 22 years old, she left university and decided to run for public office here in Kenya. She didn't manage to get through, but she experienced such a hectic, violent, exhausting journey that she realized that that's probably one of the reasons very many women shy away from running for public office. That experience, plus a lot more work, led to Bina putting together an organization called Legally Africa, and they are nurturing the next generation of women leaders. So make sure you watch this week's episode. It's already out on our YouTube channel to learn more about Bina's story. And honestly, when I look at the space that Kenya is in now, when we're talking about we need a complete overhaul of our governance and political structures, this story is so timely. Here's a bit of it.
I was born and bred in Kayole. Growing up, access to basic needs was a big deal. Access to even just water, just running through your taps. Crime was on the rise at the community level. I always see that until you visit other people outside an informal settlement is when you realize some things are actually a right, that other people have water running down their taps every other day. But then you grow up in a community where you feel like it's a privilege to actually access basic rights like water, like food, like a clean environment, right? I mean, you grow up in communities where children are dying of cholera, literally cholera. So that was the kind of environment that I grew up in. And I was lucky to start engaging actively in the community groups where we're just talking about leadership and holding members of county assembly accountable. But at that particular point, I couldn't conceptualize fully how that looks like. Like, what does it mean to actually hold a leader accountable? Because I was 17, 18, is when I began to understand, what it means when someone sits in office and how it impacts us at the community level. But then one thing was very clear, that politics affects everything. Politics affects whether I can access food, how many times in a day. Politics affects whether I can wear this hair or I'm going to shave my hair. Politics affects where I stay. Politics affects what time I need to come home because of security issues. So I got to realize that most of the challenges we're discussing at the community, they would start saying, you know what, it's because this leader is not doing this. So I got to understand that, you know what, so at the core of all these things is political leadership. Like, it's all interconnected. The quality of the leaders who occupy office are also going to either determine the quality of life I'm going to live in this community because of their, either if they live out their values and if they deliver on the promises they make during their campaigns. And many a times they were not doing that. My parents were not able to support my education. My mom used to run a kiosk at the community that sells vegetables, na matunda, fruits and all that. Kibanda, unajua kibanda skia? You know, my dad was a matatu driver. So with that kind of situation, they're not able to support our education. 2012, right? 2012, 2011, you know, I have managed to fundraise, to raise resources to go to university, right? And it wasn't easy, you know. So now in 2012, siasa imechacha. Campaigns imechacha, you know. And at the community level, we're discussing, what do we do? You know, like one of us needs to run for office, honestly. And then we just begin asking ourselves, who can do this? Things just like, this is the opportunity we have, because the only way to understand the decisions the leaders make is to actually join them when they're making those decisions. Then I said, run for office. But I didn't know the implication of that.
As I said, she definitely has that She Walks energy, and head over to our YouTube channel to watch the entire episode that spotlights and celebrates Bina. Back to this episode, we started off last week hanging out with Njoki, just going through some of her stories as she reflects on her life, her past decisions, just as she's turning 40. So we're jumping into part 2 of Njoki's story, and it starts off with her deciding to be a stay-at-home mom. 100 African stories on Legally Clueless. Stories from Africa.
Also, I got married, and so for me, from a long time ago, and that's why I think I also go back to my childhood trauma. I knew that I needed to be a stay-at-home mom. I don't know why, but I knew in my heart of hearts, I am going to be a stay-at-home mom. I don't know if it's because I didn't want other people to take care of my children, or because I just thought it would be really nice to stay home and raise my kids. Of course, I didn't know what that meant at the time because I did not have the children. But when I got the kid, my firstborn, I knew I'm going to take a break. And my husband was very supportive. He was like, fine, you take a break. I will support the family. I was like, great, I'll be low maintenance. Don't worry. And I did that. But also getting children is a whole different ballgame. And so there's all these emotions that you go through when you're thinking, I'm a stay-at-home mom. I should have it put together, you know. I should be perfect at this parenting thing. And maybe that's what I wanted. I wanted to be perfect at parenting. I wanted to feel like I'm in total control. And the best way to be in total control is to be at home. But I also think I knew myself enough to know that if I'm going to raise these kids to a certain age, because I always knew it was going to be for a short stint. I'd always told myself it's going to be like for 5 years until they start going to school, which is from around 3. And so I was like, if I'm going to do this, then I cannot be doing other things, because I'd already seen how hectic my life in events could get. And so I knew being away on weekends, being away doing gigs that are maybe going overnight or the setup is overnight, and having small children was just not going to cut it. And I didn't want to be in that position. So once my husband said he's going to support, I was like, fine, let me do this. And so I did it, and I got my second born. But it wasn't what I expected, for sure. I had my struggles. I missed my independence, you know, having to depend on somebody else. Yet before, I was out there, I was doing my thing. Now I'm just dealing with children, and it felt like I'm getting isolated. I'm a lot with the children, so even when my friends are meeting to hang out, or when there's something to do, I can't really go because my mind is here, you know. And I was okay with my mind being here because I knew it was for a short time. But I also didn't realize the effect it had on my mental health, you know, just being in that space, not being out there as the person, as a social being that I am, because I'm an extrovert, I'm out there, I'm a sanguine, I realize I think I get energy from hanging out with people. So when I'm at home with the kids all the time, I'm not interacting out there. It actually had a negative effect on my mental health. And I was like, oh my goodness, this is crazy. I never thought this could happen. But at the same time, I was feeling guilty. I was like, but I really chose to be a stay-at-home mom. Now I'm acting like it's not working for me. Like, what's my problem, Like, am I just going to quit because I'm feeling like it's not working for me? And so I had a period there where I was very unsure about what I'm doing. And I was unsure of my choices. And I felt bad that I was unsure because I felt like at this time in my life, I should be so clear about what I want. And I felt like I'm being confused. And I'm like, Kijo, how old are you again? Why are you still confused about your life and your decisions? But another thing that triggered my mental health was the death of my sister-in-law, my brother's wife. And it was a big blow because she was sick and then she passed on. It was during COVID. And COVID was already such a dark year, and we'd lost other relatives that year. And already the environment was so dark. I just I'd not gotten my second baby. And we were at home, and she passed on. The grief I felt after she died was on another level. Like, it hit me like a ton of bricks. And when I look back at when my dad passed on and how I handled it then, and now I was like, why am I not being strong the way I was strong then? Why is this thing affecting me so much the way it is? Like, I didn't understand. I was questioning the grief. I was like, why am I feeling the way I'm feeling? This is not normal. I could tell this is not normal. And so I started therapy because I realized I am feeling like I'm losing it and it's becoming too much. So I started therapy and I was able to unpack. And I actually realized that it is because I did not grieve for my father properly that it now came out when I lost my sister-in-law. And that's what happens in grief. If you don't deal with it and deal with it properly, it will come up again when somebody else dies. And it's inevitable that someone else close to you will die at some point in life. And I was just like, oh my goodness. So I had to deal with my dad's death. I had to go back and deal with that grief to be able to get out of the funk that I was in with my sister-in-law's grief. And so when I got out of it is when I was like, oh my goodness, this is what this means. It was such an eye-opener. And therapy was really good. You just hear about therapy. There's a podcast I follow also called Therapy in a Nutshell. Guys, go look for it. If you're looking for free therapy, just go there. If you can't afford a therapist because therapists are expensive, I get it. Go to Therapy in a Nutshell. She's on YouTube and she's on Spotify. Yani, that lady has taken me through so much. So much anxiety, not being sure of yourself, questioning your life, name it. She's taken me through it. But now the physical therapy also really helped. And I was just lucky that I was able to pay for that. And I got out of it. And when I look back, I'm just like, wow, I was really dealing with a lot. But also just the fact that you get children, also children take a toll on you because your body changes, right? Your physical changes, your hormones change. Your brain changes. The chemicals in your brain are just all over the place. Again, something you're not told when you're getting into it. And you have to go through it to understand it. You've heard of postpartum depression, right? Why do some people get it and other people don't? It's just an imbalance in the body. And I feel like that also affected me somehow, but it wasn't in my face. It wasn't something that I understood or I knew. But the grief sort of just catapulted it to another level that I had to deal. I really had to deal with it. And that was a dark time, but it was also a good time because it helped me understand what was happening. And because of that therapy, I was able to unearth so many things, like this issue with abuse when I was a child. That's when it was unearthed. It wasn't in my forefront. It wasn't in my mind. It was just an event that happened and I moved on. I didn't think it had an effect on me until it was broken. And I was like, oh my God, yes, that could have had an effect on me. So many things, even things that happened in my career, things that happened in relationships, things that could even be happening in the present that is triggering certain reactions in me and making me act and behave in a certain way. So therapy is, I recommend it to anyone and everyone. And nowadays in this age of podcasts and, YouTube shows and talk shows and all that, go get it, man. And if you can get it even before you get married, the better. Like, you need to be so aware of who you are. Yeah, so that when you're getting married, you know who you are, so that if the monster comes out, you actually know that why it's coming out, and you actually know you're a monster, rather than you being shocked like, oh my God, I'm actually a monster later on because things are happening in a certain way. You're being told you're a monster, so that was a journey, but it was a journey. Because she passed on 4 years ago. In fact, it's going to be 4 years on Friday. It set me up on a journey. I had to go on that journey. I think it's a journey I needed to go on, but I didn't know I needed. But I think maybe it's also combined with turning 40. I don't know. I think there's just something in the air. What made me want to go back is, of course, I had a 5-year timeline. So my second born was turning 3. So I had done my 5 years. It was time. It was time to go. But also it was really time because, as you've said, of the therapy and the awareness and realizing that this being stay-at-home mom is not working for me the way I thought it would. And I just need to get back out there, among many other things. The going back out there, I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. I'm the type of person who doesn't want to do the same thing for a very long time. I've just realized that. So I got into other things. I got an interest in herbal medicine, just a health thing, I guess. I'm into healthy living, if I can say that. My mom is a nurse, is a retired nurse. And she was very health conscious all our lives. So I think we got it from her. And I'd always thought I might actually go into something to do with health, but the sight of blood just does not work for me. So I kind of gave up that dream a long time ago. But when I started learning more about natural health and herbal medicine, I got so much more interested in it. And so I took a course in it. I try and practice it at home, even just for myself. When I meet people who are suffering from something, or even my friends and my family, I'm always recommending one herb or another. Yeah, so I'm into herbal, and I thought maybe I'll make it into a business. So I'm that type of person who has so many business ideas. Oh my God, but execution is not my stronghold. So guys, if there's someone out there who is a business coach, I need one ASAP, and it can't be pricey because I don't have the money to pay you. But I'm going to get there. But I just need someone to hold my hand, man. Like, I have this idea. What next? Like, what do I need to do to just make it run, So I also did a course in mediation. And mediation came again just when I was doing my self-discovery, I guess. And I realized I also wanted to be a lawyer at some point. I told you I was very argumentative until I saw the pile of books that you have to read. And I was like, nope, I'm done with school. I'm not reading books for the rest of my life. Not gonna happen. So that dream died. And so when I was thinking about what else can I do apart from events, what else can I go into? Maybe I can go into law. And I started looking at the different, arms of law and different things when I came upon mediation. And I was like, oh, mediation is interesting. It's an alternative dispute resolution where you don't have to go to court. You just sit down with the other party that you have issues with, and they have a mediator who just listens to both parties and tries to, help you guys come up to a logical conclusion for the way forward. Not too many emotions involved, no lots of lawyer fees involved, no court dates involved. It's very clean, and your resolutions are still, your disputes are still, resolved amicably, and both parties. Actually, what they say is that both parties win. In a law situation, it's like one party has to lose and another one has to win. You can't both win. But in mediation, both of you can win. So I thought that was super interesting. So I got an opportunity to get to do a training. So I'm a certified mediator. Yeah. So as I am just going through this journey, I also got to a point where my spirituality came up a lot because I've always been a Christian. Grew up in church, always went to church. But I think at some point I got off track. And at some point I was also like, God, just take a break. Let's take a break a bit. I want to live life without feeling guilty. So let me just do these things without feeling bad. And then I'll come back later. And I even explored different religions. I explored African traditional religion. It's like I was just trying to make sense of life. Like, what is this? What is this life we are living? What is it about? I know the Christian bit, but what is out here? People have different beliefs. Why do they have them? And I think they're thriving. So maybe I need to explore. Maybe I need to open up my mind to more things instead of just, feeling like I'm just closed up to this one way of thinking. But that did not work out for me. I think I was just always meant to be God-centered because I went to a really dark hole. Really, really dark. The way you see darkness coming. You're like, what? Okay, I don't want to go towards that darkness. Let me go back to the light. And I'd gotten into some bad habits. I was smoking, just in a way to just feel free, set my mind free, fly above the clouds, hakuna matata, wake up and just feel, oh, but it got bad. It got bad because I got addicted to a point that I used to wake up in the morning to smoke because that's the only way I could face my day. And I was like, hey, my friend, how did you get here? Who are you? Whose child are you? Okay, if your mother knew, now she knows. But, I was just like, but it's what I felt at that point I needed, because I thought that's what I needed, because, that's the state of mind I was in, and I was exploring. Hey, but it got me to a dark point. I was like, hey, madam, you have children. They're looking up to you. What is this? What is this? You can't be like this. This does not make sense. But my state of mind at that point was just, I was not okay. And I was trying to be okay. And so in 2023, in January, or rather in December, I said, this must end. So in January, my church was doing we're doing a program for fasting, 21 days of fasting and praying. And I was like, this is what I need. When they say you need 21 days to break a habit, this is where I'm going to break this habit. So I started January, I can't remember, maybe the second week of January. And I got on it day 1, day 2. I did, I think, about 14 days. So I think I did like 7 days of a liquid fast or something, or just taking soups and liquids. And then I moved to like a Daniel fast where you don't eat meat, you just take fruits, vegetables, just like healthy living. And then, I continued with that. I don't think I did the whole 21, but for sure I did not smoke for 21 days. And after that, I was just like, I'm done. I'm clean. This is out of my system. And I felt better. I had lost a lot of weight, a lot of baby weight that I had on. I had like a mind fog. I felt my mind was a lot clearer. I felt lighter. I felt more energetic, because I got into a point I was feeling very lethargic. I didn't want to get out of bed. I could lazy around all day, because remember, at this point, I'm still a stay-at-home mom. I haven't gone back to work. So I started just feeling better, feeling more upbeat, feeling more confident. I could think through certain things. And that's also, because my sister-in-law passed on maybe in 2020. So I'd already done the therapy by this time. Yeah, because my baby was around maybe 2, but I was still healing from certain other things that I was dealing with. Yeah, and so also at that point when I made the decision, I said, you know what, Kijo, you have tried this life on your own terms, your own rules, whatever information you have, whatever, your way. Now you need to go back to your creator and ask him how he intended for you to live it. The way if you want your appliance to run properly, you read the manual. Just go back to the manufacturer, read the manual, and then, he'll tell you. He'll help shape which direction you should go. And it was so funny because also in church they were talking about obedience. And obedience to authority, obedience to, instruction. And I made a decision, because I'm like, I am the rebellious type. Obedience is not my strong, And I was like, I have to train myself. I have to train myself to be obedient. So I said, I'm just going to follow. I'm not going to question. I'm just going to follow. And what's the worst that could happen, right? I'm already a hot mess. And so the following meant waking up every morning at 4:30 to pray. It meant following the church programs, whatever comes up, reading your Bible consistently every day, listening to sermons, going to church, and all of that. And because after COVID, remember when guys are not going to church anymore, so I had to start going back to church again. And I have small kids, so taking them back to church, and just obedience without questioning. So what does the next 40 look like for me? To be honest, I am still on the trajectory of following what God tells me to do. I am literally in his radar. I am obeying. I am following. I am listening out to his voice. And he speaks very loudly if you want to hear him. So consistently doing my Bible readings, waking up for prayer. If there are any church programs that I have to go out for mission, I go out for mission if he says that I should go out for mission. Serving in the church, serving in ministry, but also in my business, in that confusion of, do I do mediation? Do I go back to events? Would I start something new? He spoke to me very clearly and told me, just continue with your events. Just do events. And so even as I go back to events, it's like doing events but his way. And his way is very specific, and listening to his voice. What kind of clients am I taking? How am I presenting myself? God requires a lot of excellence, and I have a lot of weaknesses. Like my financial management is crap. Like it's terrible. Even my own personal finances. And I have a terrible weakness in that. But I am learning to fix it. I am learning to change my mindset, because it begins with a change of mindset. I have learned from other podcasts that I have been listening to. One of them that was featured in Legally Clueless. In fact, I think that's how I started, from a podcast I listened on Legally Clueless. What's her name? And so she talks about changing your mindset, and it's true. So from changing my mindset and starting to practice things slowly, every day, just do something small to change your mindset. So I need to fix my finances. I need to be a better partner to my husband. I need to be a better person even for my children, for my family members, for my friends. My relationships, I'm very big on my relationships. And I feel like I might not have served them the best in the past, and I want to do better for them in the future. And I can only do better if I'm better. But if I'm still hurting, if I still have issues, then it's going to project onto them. So the next 40 is just really following God's guidance. And I have tried it for the last 2 years, actually. But even more so the last year or the last couple of months. And my goodness, the strides I have made in those few months versus what I have been doing in the past few years is like day and night. And I'm just like, I must be doing something right. There must be something to this. And it sounds crazy. It sounds like, what is this whole God thing you're on about? Are you like obsessed? Are you in a cult? But for me, it's working. And I'm happy to continue doing it, because I know I serve a living God, and everything he says about me is true and it's real. And it's such a beautiful space to be in, just to see what he has in store for me. But I also know that a lot of responsibility is on me. God will not come and tell me how to manage my money. He will show me, he'll give me resources. He will show me people who can work with me. And then end of the day, it's me. So it's my self-control. It's my habits that I have to fix. It's my mindfulness. I have to be mindful of people. I have to be empathetic. I have to be willing to talk less and listen more. As you can tell, I talk a lot. Doing the best for myself and even for my children, and even in my marriage, being better for them. Whether it's more therapy, whether it's just doing whatever I need to do, and being very cognizant of my weaknesses. Like, these are my weaknesses, these are my issues, and this is how I want to deal with them. This is how I want to become better because of them. And then my strengths to, amplify them, to work with others who are behind me. I'm big on mentorship, work with guys who are in uni, work with guys who are early in their careers, and offer whatever little nuggets of wisdom I have gained up to this point. But also really look up to the people who have gone ahead of me, and understand that the wisdom that they're sharing also. And just be open to grow, and don't stay stuck in a rut. No, don't. Be clear. Wake up, exercise, eat right. Like those are, the doctor always prescribes them, but they know why they prescribe them. Because mind fog is real. Why you're not motivated, why you don't feel like waking up. It's a mind thing. It's in the mind. Probably it's the foods you're eating. Probably it's you're not sleeping enough. Probably it's the content you're watching. Probably it's the people you're surrounding yourself with, Probably it's just your attitude. It's your heart. It's your issues that you've never worked out. And so those things don't make you want to move forward. So when you clear out all that stuff, it just makes everything so much more clearer. And you're able to just go ahead and know that even though I make mistakes, I learn from them. What is it? Life is all about failures. Even those people who have made it in life, those successful people, how many failures do they have behind them? Countless. But we always look at the successes, but there are so many things that they have failed at that has propelled them to this place. So I've also learned to be okay with failure, and to try and to fail, and to be like, okay, this is where I fall short. What do I need to do to become better? And if it was as me, I leave it. Kwani, we're going to stay here the whole day. We're going to stay focusing on this issue that I have. If it's not working out, if you're not good at it, move on and find the thing that you're actually good at, and thrive in it, and be happy. And you'll be so much happier for it, because you're not the same. You're not created the same. We don't have the same giftings. Yeah. And when you see somebody who has something you like, whether it's how they dress, whether it's how they speak, whether it's how they present themselves, whether it's how they cook, whatever it is, walk in their footsteps, literally. follow them, watch them, stay within their radar. And that, we call it anointing. That anointing they have, that gifting they have, will come to you because you want it. You're seeking for it. And if you believe that they have it, then stick very close to them and you will get it in time. But you can't say, I have always wanted to sing, and you're never near a musician or never near anything that brings out music. You have to be within the space of what you want. And I think that's why maybe even successful people say, surround yourself with successful people. It's true. It will pour out into you. As I say, pouring it out to other people, it will pour out into you. If you find somebody is very wise and you want wisdom, their wisdom will pour out into you when you stay around them. And I think that's African, right? That's how our African story is. That's why our elders used to sit us around a fire and talk to us and pass down stories and pass down information. It's the same way it will trickle down.
Catch more African stories in the next episode of Legally Clueless. I hope you enjoyed part 1 and part 2 of Njoki's story. I cannot thank her enough for her vulnerability, like just being honest about so many things. Obviously, for me, the one that I really connected with was her honesty on grief and on motherhood. You often hear many people coaxing you to have children, especially when you're like me. I'm 35, smack mid-30s, and it's always like, hey, are you not? You know what I mean? But you don't get enough people saying what motherhood truly comes with, And the more I sit with that decision on whether or not to have kids, the more I realize that I don't believe I have the capacity that the motherhood journey requires. And honestly, finances aren't even top of that capacity list. I mean, it's there, but there's also mental strength, patience, resilience, emotional capacity that is needed. And the more healing work I do on myself, the less my decision to not have kids has to do with fear. There was definitely a time it was purely fear. I was just like, I am so scared. But the more I do healing work, the less it is about fear. It's more just a very calm, intentional, in terms of what type of life I want to live decision. However, my gyna and I have had the conversation and he was like, what's your age again? And I told him and he was like, please, you should not do and be stressed. Just relax. And of course, we spoke about freezing my eggs as an option. But yeah, I really do find myself appreciating women or mothers who can be honest around motherhood. Not to scare people, but to make sure other women are making informed decisions, I wonder, what are your thoughts on kids? Do you have them? Do you want them? Are you not sure? Drop a comment in the comment section wherever you're listening to this on. Remember, if you want to share your story as well, just fill out our storyteller form. A link to it is in the show notes. One of our correspondents will get back to you. And if you're in the Greater East Africa region, you can catch us on Trace FM every Monday and Wednesday at 1 p.m. and 11 p.m. Fridays, we're here at 1 p.m. If you enjoyed this episode, drop us a comment, give us a 5-star rating because you know we deserve it. And don't forget to share it with your people. That's it for this episode of Legally Clueless. You can share this podcast with your friends. You can keep it for yourself. I'm not judging. Just make sure you're here next week for the next episode.